Hello, welcome to this update video for my Polish 1st Armored Division. Now, as you saw in my last update, I focused on the 10th Dragoons platoon and left the 8th Rifles alone for a bit, and I've continued that. I figured at least let's focus on one piece at a time, platoon-wise. So, went ahead and just stuck with the 10th Dragoons, and with them, went through I guess what I'd call the base coating of most of all the details. So they're completely painted head to toe, with the exception of one little detail I did forget to paint, but I can pick that up in the last detail phase. Alright, so let's kind of go over kind of what I did. In this particular case, we had to paint all the components, make sure the heads were done, the khaki chin straps were done, all the guns were painted and glued in, made sure the other weapons were painted and put in, and had to mount the loader's Bren guns, Bren packs, like such as this. Okay, so some basic painting and then assembling so that I could do a final wash in AP Strong Tone. So let's kind of go over the steps that I went through. We'll start with the Piat here. Now, as you notice, I'm doing a little bit more work on the Piat than you'd normally expect by drilling out the bore. And you'll notice I painted the butt pad and this little grip area on the back, the brown. I believe that's flat earth. I know it's beige brown. Okay. So that way, that's actually part of the kit for the Piat. So it took a lot of time to research some of these, get photos for all these. But now for his buddy, his loader friend, two things I had to paint on related to the Piat. One is the round itself, and that was actually a mix of 1-to-1 khaki and beige brown. That came to a very reasonably close approximation of the round colors I saw in my research. And then the tubes, the actual rocket tubes. Now, interestingly, those tubes were actually made of cardboard in real life. And so I went ahead and just used beige brown to give them base color. And then when I went over with the strong tone, I just did it in the creases to get some depth. Now, the paint job is a little bit on the sloppy side, but I'm going to clean it up in the detail portion. The end caps were a reflective green with the khaki strap that goes across, because there's actually a carrying strap that kind of goes around it. Okay, now all the Lee Enfields were already painted up flat brown and glued in place. All the wood components on the Bren guns, which include the handle, the stock, and actually the grip, which you can't see because it's behind his hand, all those are also painted wood. Those are dark brown, or sorry, flat brown. The Stens and Bren guns themselves were actually painted German gray. It's a dark, very dark gray, not quite black. And I want to do that to get to that faded look. Now here's the reason. As I mentioned earlier, I'm actually working more from a scale model perspective on these. So when you're looking at tabletop distance, you want to have it looking like you have a window on the actual the real battle or whatever. Now, as your eyes look at things further away, those things get a little bit more gray. They get faded out a bit, and so a lot of techniques that you use in scale modeling have to do with capturing that kind of a dulling down of the colors. And so that's why you won't see a lot of special highlighting done on this project. But for the guns, instead of going base black or base gunmetal, which is the normal color you would use, I went with a German gray to get that really dark gray that looks, when you look at a gun from a distance, that's kind of the way it looks. And I can highlight it with those other colors. So there's still a lot of little spots that need to be highlighted anyway and patched up, just scuffs and nicks from the actual handling or whatever. Then next thing I had to do was paint the canteens. Now the canteens are actually it's a piece of the canteens are covered with a small strap, webbing strap. But the base color of the canteen is actually much darker, and I actually had to make a custom mix there. I had to use 3 parts flat earth and 1 part German gray to get that dark brownish color that would look right. And so I was able to do that. Once that was done and everything was ready to go, I painted the bases earth brown. That's the basic color of the, or flat earth I should say. The basic color that I'm going to use to undergird the bases. And I'll have a separate basing video for this, because I'm going to take a different approach with the basing here. Again, more along a scale model approach. Now, the last thing I did was go over everything with a strong tone, or AP's Army Painter's strong tone, and that basically dulled everything down. Now, the one place I didn't do a lot of strong tone was on the very top of the helmets. And you might be able to see the transitions, darker on the edge, not so dark on the top. The reason is I'm going to get that kind of a, you get accentuate the angle that way a little bit, but I'm also going to start fading it between the two with extra colors, extra application of reflective green. So they're not the prettiest right now because of the the wash. I still have to go through and do some cleanup highlights and do some cleanup detail parts. But otherwise, they have made pretty good progress in this last week. I guess that's one advantage of being having a bum knee for a bit. All right, so there's the 10th Dragoons, and we'll see what happens in the next week. All right, enjoy yourselves. See you guys in the next video, and bye-bye.